chat about education strategies, let me offer a somewhat personal backdrop. My parents were children during the genocide. My dad was 11 and my mother 5. My mother was from Constantinople, now Istanbul, where there was more Western attention to what was happening. And her family survived, probably relying on Turkish friends and on some bribes. No one was killed. My mom's family was divided, with her mother and 2 eldest brothers in New York City, and a sister and younger brother remaining in Paris. She lived in Paris for more than 6 years before being reunited with her mother in New York City in 1928. While in Paris, she became a skilled seamstress, and those skills were transported when she moved to the United States, and she could work in the New York garment district. I was like it eventually becoming chairlady of, as it was then called, of the International Lady Garment Workers local chapter. My dad was from Antioch, and he lost 5 brothers, older brothers, who were killed. Very different kind of situation, because he literally escaped as a girl, along with 2 older sisters, spent time in Aleppo and in Beirut before emigrating to New York City in 1922. He found employment in a textile factory and later worked his way into becoming foreman of a factory with several hundred employees. Neither my mother nor my father had more than a 3rd grade education, but they had family histories of success, and they were fortunate to have been city folks. So they understood law, contracts, taxes, street vending, transportation, and the like, as opposed to those who came from farms or in very rural places. To supplement their income, my dad brought home bolts of window treatments and other textiles that my mother sold, and she sewed. So my parents created a future for me through their skills and initiative. And so I could get eventually a PhD and have a reasonable career. The key point in all this, probably not possible today. Probably can't be reproduced today. Why? Because those jobs don't exist in the United States very much anymore. Last month, I was in Thailand, Vietnam, and Hong Kong. I heard at each location that textiles and seamstress work was leaving them and going to Laos and Cambodia and India, where it was cheaper. Okay? I mean, it's almost a preposterous sequence once something becomes a commodity. And in Hong Kong, I was told that 90% of what was manufactured in Hong Kong 30 years ago now is in China. So those economies have changed profoundly. I offer this information as a background to suggest the impact of technology and the impact of international competition is hardly new. It's been there. Though in the future, with the advent of artificial intelligence and the kind of dimensions Dr. Papazian spoke about, there may be even greater game changers. Especially since the 1970s, the United States economy has been transformed in dramatic terms, from an emphasis on mass production and low-skilled employee pools to a knowledge-based economy focused on flexibility, focused on service, and incredibly focused increasingly on education in order to compete globally. In fact, we pretty much live in a world that we invented. We invented with our own material prosperity. We look good to other people, if sometimes crazy. But material, at least, we look good to other people. And what's happened is that they would like what we have. So they're willing to work hard. They're willing to sacrifice. They're willing to go to school. In fact, if you go to school in Japan or Korea, you go to school 2 to 3 more years by the time you're 18 years old. Go to school in China, 10 to 15 years, China may be the largest English-speaking nation in the world. Because the Koreans and the Chinese and a couple of other nations introduced English to kids in first grade. Okay? And so they're very, very serious about being globalized. In general, as Armenians, we're fortunate that an emphasis on education has been a greater part of our culture than in many other ethnic groups. With Hye Geen in the old Soviet Union, leading all of the Soviet states in education, security. And even now, in Armenia, has a high level of literacy compared to many other nations. In the past, in the United States, high school degree was enough. It was a good thing. It was satisfactory. People dropped out of school, but people who sustained got a high school diploma were doing well. That changed abruptly. In fact, in California, passing the high school education test is the equivalent of 9th grade math, 10th grade English. Okay, that's it. And pending the new Common Core curriculum, the high school test has actually been abandoned for a while. Well, given the recent attention to college graduate debts, to a variety of graduates not finding quite the employment that they were looking for, is it really worthwhile to continue to think about a college degree? I don't, for sure. I mean, if there's anything that's certain that the economy has recovered, will continue to recover, and the roots of success will be located in college-educated people. 80% of the jobs that will be created will be there. And probably 95% of the well-paying jobs will be for those individuals. And as Dr. Papazian said, jobs that you take aren't apt necessarily to be there 3 to 5 years later. So you have to be able to transition. You have to have the skill sets that give you the flexibility to be successful over a larger period of time. And while some of you may succeed simply on the basis of your raw talent, the rest of us aren't that good. So we need an education, and we need to work hard, and we need, in addition, to work smart. Smart for ourselves, because we're all somewhat different in how we learn, how we absorb, how we can excel. And due to rising global competition, more jobs than ever are simply going to require a college education. And as I said, those are the good jobs as well. Some of the things that you're fortunate in is having a culture that focused on education. I mean, that goes all the way back to the Ottoman period, where part of the jealousy of Armenians was the fact that they were educated, and they were successful, and they understood some principles. So avail yourself of that kind of heritage and make it a springboard for other kinds of successes. And you're fortunate if you speak another language, because the brain's development is such that it favors, and plus you have an understanding of other ways of spinning the world, looking through a lens. It's an interesting old expression that says if you speak 3 languages, you're trilingual. You speak 2 languages and you're bilingual. You speak 1 language and you're American. That's part of America you don't have to. You don't have to adopt. Well, the reality is that there will be significant changes. The California Public Policy Institute indicates, its research suggests, by 2030, we're going to need 1.1 million more college-educated individuals, college graduates, than it's anticipated that we'll have. So your education is important to you personally at the micro level, but it's also important at the macro level to our state and to our society. It's very, very critical. State needs you, and you need yourselves to be thoughtful and directive. Is there any risk involved? Yeah, sure. Always risk involved in whatever you have choices. You may not graduate with a degree that you can just quickly employ, or maybe in the wrong location, the timing may not. I mean, there are a panoply of different kinds of reasons why it might not work with precision. On the other hand, I mean, the payoff is for a college degree. And I underscore a college degree. It's not a college education alone. A college education will give you perspectives, learning, understanding. The degree is what people look at to see whether you had the stick-to-itiveness, whether you had the gumption to finish what you started. So think about that when you've got 3 more courses to take, or you don't want to take them. Get the degree, secure it. It's the credential that's of very great value. There's also risk in every, as I said before, every kind of decision that you make. Overall, a college degree, however, has never been more valuable if you desire a career and if you desire to be transformed, because that's what learning does. It transforms us. So overall, college degrees never had more value. On average, workers with college degrees now earn, on average, $1 million more over a lifetime than those with high school diplomas alone. Unemployment rates tend to be half of whatever they are for those with high school diplomas, both during the recession and also recently. Differences between new graduates who don't get quite what they want and eventually get what they want. There's a tendency for the pool to balance out, to flatten over time. As I think Dr. Papagian made clear and very eloquently, you know, college degree isn't simply a job. It's not simply a career. It's not simply financial prosperity. There's so much more that it impacts. It impacts life expectancy. It impacts health. It impacts the children's level of education. It impacts your own self-understanding. And for communities, it has profound impact in bringing skill sets back to the community that are invaluable for its economic, its social, and cultural vitality. To be as successful as possible for you who are adults, I'm here to say that most kids don't necessarily do well in school without encouragement. So it really is the encouragement of parents and others who are there when there are no parents. Very, very key to encourage students to work hard in middle and high school. Young people tend to achieve what's expected of them, and more education is needed to compete in the economy. As a side note, you should know that in the U.S. since 1982, more women than men have gone to college and started to graduate. Okay? Not a recent phenomenon. 1982. There's an old little piece of humor that says that a man found a lantern, rubbed it, a genie popped out, so I give you 3 wishes. He said, okay, the first wish is that I be stronger than any man, and he's suddenly, poof, ripped hard with muscles. Secondly, he says, I'd like to be richer than any man, and poof, suddenly he's standing on billions of dollars in mansions and swimming pools. He says, third, I'd like to be smarter than any man, and poof, made into a woman. I always like telling that because I always get applause from half of the group. I wonder why. Well, one of the things I want to say is that for those of you who are still in high school, or for parents who have that, there's something that the California State University produces, is how to go to college. It suggests what you do in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, through high school years, what courses you need to take. You need to understand that recent evidence suggests that 75% of Los Angeles County students are not on track to do the A to G requirements that are required. Those requirements include 4 years of English, a variety of courses in history, math, and so on. So it's very, very important. Take the poster. I've got some more if anybody wants them. Have the kids put them up in their room, put it on the wall, look at it before you enroll. Even if you don't plan to go to a University of California or CSU, at least you'll be prepared to do that if suddenly you change your mind. Spells out what you need. And if you don't get a poster, you can get one from your schools. Let me suggest a couple of things that I would do if I had the children who were thinking about college. One thing I do is I look to see what my son or daughter really was most interested in. I go to maybe use the strong assessment test, which outlines what you're good at, you know, what you have instinctive purpose about. And then I surely think about what it is that you think. Now, with the job availability from the U.S. Department of Labor, with all these kinds of things, what you think you'd like to do, and when you conclude that, write it down. This is what I want to do, okay? Even show it to other people. Because it's a way of committing yourself to a track, not eternally, not forever. Change your mind. But when you change your mind, write it down again. So that you'll have a pathway to where you're going. It's a strong interest inventory. And then, in addition, you should find whatever it is that you propose to do, something that's sort of exciting for you. Because chances are, if you study something because somebody else said, that's what you find, we find you're good at, or suddenly because your parents said do this, or because there are jobs there, it's not enough. You have to find a comfort level, you have to find your own passion and enthusiasm to be successful. For those of you who are in college, the rules are really pretty clear, what you've got to do. You know, I mean, once you sort of triangulated and you have some notion of your major, and you continue to assess what makes sense and be open to change, you got to do some basic things, like what? Go to class. Don't skip. Don't sleep. Don't text in class. In fact, there's really good research that suggests that if you want to take notes, don't take computerized notes. Take handwritten notes. Because it becomes more internalized when you do that. Do things like join organizations if you can. Be part of the larger institution. If you need to work, it's incredibly better to work on a campus than it is to work off campus. And remember your basic arithmetic. If you got to take 120 credits and you've got 8 semesters to do it, divide it and say, oh my God, that's 15. Yeah, I need to take 15. And if I can't take 15, I've got a summer to catch up. So every year, that you'll have taken 30 hours and you can be successful. Take advantage as well of a placement office. Be able to go there, learn how to craft your own bio, learn how to interview, and let them identify opportunities, including internships. There's a single thing I recommend if you can get an internship. You can demonstrate to others what you know, and you can learn about whatever the field is in order to help anchor yourself. And then finally, for adults, as I said before, when we interview people who are successful, they almost inevitably say they had a mentor someplace along the line. Be that mentor if it's not there. Be that mentor to your children, to your grandchildren, and if there's no one there to do it, assume that responsibility. Because only if somebody does that kind of encouragement and gets the guidance will they eventually be successful. Thank you again to the AGBU for this invitation. And let's make sure all our children take advantage of the educational opportunities that are there. I look forward to lunch, answering questions, and again,
as a volunteer coach, I find it really rewarding to help these kids in coaching and practice and games when the time comes. It's really, really fun to see how driven they are and help them get their skills developed, and when their game time comes around, how confident they are. You see just the reward you get in their faces. So that's what makes me do what I do.
Through the network of AGBU Sports, I've learned that I'm a part of something bigger and greater than just a game. We're all connected through common interests and our pride and heritage.
My son really enjoys being in the Saturday program for the athletics department at AGBU, and he's able to spend some time getting some good physical activity, spending some time with his friends, and we're able to come down and watch him during the soccer program every Saturday, so he really enjoys it.
Some of the best times I've ever had was traveling with my team to the AGBU World Games. Not only did we get to represent our AGBU city, we got to meet fellow Armenians from all over the world.
I enrolled my children in the AGBU sports program 5 years ago, and I can't explain the change that they've had over the years. They have great physical activity, they've got a lot of discipline in their life, and they've developed a great friendship with fellow Armenians.
I always loved watching basketball on TV, but I never thought I'd be good playing it myself. So what I did is I joined my AGBU basketball team. The coaches taught me how to play the game. I gained confidence, and I also worked really hard. And now I score points and make assists during games.
Although we love playing the game, it doesn't matter whether we win or lose. The important part is we love spending time with our teammates and our sister cities.
Հայկական բարեգործական ընդհանուր միության Հye Geen մասնաճյուղի եթերից մեկ անգամ